The last set of questions I want to address this week were the two that I posted. The first of which was, are network forms of organizing a means to nonprofit success? And what I was trying to suggest was a lot of the readings seem to imply that. And you had a variety of answers, and I just want to relate some of them because I thought they were very insightful. It's not clear to me that it needs to be a nonprofit model. In every case, it could be one for-profit model as well. So I'm just going to rattle off some. One of a strong no was from Paulo. It's not just reserved for small and poor firms. It's a way of operating for any firm. And Nargis, of course, gives a great example of how a huge school district used network organization to get together private contractors so as to build quality schools in a timely manner. Another case of no, it's not just for small nonprofits, was Equibe, who gave the example of free and open software kind of movement organizations that partner quite a bit. And then on the other hand, you had these yeses, which were, well, yes, it's a nonprofit, small organization kind of tool, and Lottie was a vehement yes, and she gives all sorts of helpful examples on United Kingdom kind of national parks, as well as the conservation volunteers and fair trade foundation. And Susan too mentioned yes, it speaks of she was on a board of a small nonprofit that struggled for resources to provide mental health services, and it understood that persons in need of mental health services also required other services like housing, jobs, and life skills. So that nonprofit eventually adopted a network of service provision model, and that worked for quite a while. So Susan's example is actually a perfect one for network kinds of organization. Shirley, of course, again, had a great example of the National Service of Learning, SENA, in Colombia, and even suggests a video. And then there was a discussion about, where doesn't it occur in nonprofits? Like it's not every nonprofit that's suitable for this. So there's certain kinds of nonprofits that may be better for it. And particularly, I noticed that Donna had a lot of insights on this, and she wrote about how low-tech nonprofits, like in art and religious nonprofits, may not be really outfitted for this. Or even, she mentions how some nonprofits are in niches that have lots of competition. There isn't enough carrying capacity for them, or even complementary partners that they can choose among. So there's some cases where the context in which nonprofits are located would make kind of a network form difficult. Other ideas that were related was, it's clear that we won't see nonprofits. Heather was talking about that you won't see nonprofits in vertically and horizontally integrated kind of customer service firms like Target and Walmart. So she had ideas of where you wouldn't see it for sure in profit sectors. And then some of you wrote at the very end, like Sam, about why nonprofits in particular. And he said he didn't think nonprofits, small nonprofits in particular, needed to compete per se. And so because of this, it suggests that nonprofits, if they lack competition, are more suited for this kind of network organization model. Now, of course, it's not a panacea again. I mean, network forms of organizing are difficult to coordinate, and managing is hard. As you saw, the ideal manager is a little elusive. It's not something that's common sense to a lot of us. And you kind of have to look for shared interests. You have to constantly look for that and complementary parts, and then some end gain that's had from the coordination that goes beyond any particular partnership. So, I mean, that's not always easy to accomplish and to sustain. So I think this question, we gain a lot of insight from your answers, and hopefully I've helped add to that. And you've given a lot of great examples too. And in fact, on the other question, which was all about where have you applied network forms of organizing, these two questions are kind of related because you gave lots of terrific examples. So it's not just in the readings now, we have lots of paragraphs where we can think of its application. But one in particular I wanted to mention on, and that was Sergey's notion of general contractors and how they do construction projects. And he argued that, look, we do a network form of organizing every time we do a big job. And, you know, you have this general earthwork, electrical kind of contractor who hires people like in masonry, roofing, plumbing, etc., as subcontracts. And he even mentioned how larger projects require kind of joint ventures across multiple general contractors. And he explained how the projects were, or the network had a clear goal, a collective goal, and that each relationship was interdependent. So that this was nice in terms of the collective getting a gain out of the network that was beyond any particular partnership. So the timely completion of one project between a subcontractor and the contractor affected the others, right? So all of them were interdependent, and this kind of setup was the network form of organizing. So that was a really neat example, and I thought Susan's too about the small board that she was on of a nonprofit in the health service industry was a really clean example in terms of the network forms of organizing and how that service is delivered. I'm sure there's many more that I could mention. I've tried to focus a little bit in the, for the sake of time. So thank you for all your questions, and hopefully I've answered them with some insight. Next week we have off here in the United States. It's Thanksgiving, and so Stanford actually doesn't hold courses, but it actually comes at a good time. I think we all need a little bit of breathing room to kind of collect ourselves for this final push. However, week 9 videos will be up shortly, and you'll have 2 weeks to do the quizzes on those. And as always, I will look for you on the forum, and I'll be eager to see you when I return. Thank you.